Welcome to 4AZ. I'm your host, Tyler McDowell Blanken, and we are rolling out the yellow carpet once again for another outstanding guest. I usually have to research people's backgrounds, but I know this brother. He's a native Phoenician, a fitness coach, a brand new physical education teacher, and one of my best friends. Darien Mckinley is here. Darien,
What's going on, guys? How's it going?
It's going so well, man. I'm so blessed to have you on the show. This is really surreal for me because we've known each other for many years. We're going to get into all this soon, but I'm doing well. I'm blessed you're here. I'm blessed to know you. How are you living?
I'm living good, man. Just trying to stay cool in this 120-degree weather, trying to drink a lot of water, trying not to pass out. I'm not hiking, so I'm definitely not getting involved with that, but it's going pretty well. It's doing good on my end. Like I said, a lot of blessings have been coming in my life lately, so just trying to keep that positive mindset and just continuing to just better myself, and at the same time, still not forget about the people that have been around me these past couple of years, because I know you have friends, but you have friends that have been with you, years and years. Like me and you, we've been friends for over 10 years now. And it doesn't seem like it. It feels like literally like a snap of the finger. Like, man, it's already been 10 years. And so
we're in our 30s.
Yeah, bro. So it's crazy to think that. So yeah, just staying humble, just staying blessed, and just trying to move on to this next chapter of my life pretty soon. So excited about that.
Awesome. I love that for you, D. Well, like you said, man, let's get into it. I can't wait to get into your story and ask you all these questions that I got prepared. I want to start with where you grew up, of course, which is here in the Valley in Phoenix, Arizona. How was your experience as a student growing up here?
It was cool because for the most part, while I was in school, my mom was also a teacher. So it was always nice for her to drop me off, and a lot of times she was dropping me off, she was also one of the teachers on campus. So I pretty much had to stay on my A game when it came to just overall being on campus and knowing that, that's the Mckinley. So that's Sean McKinley's son. And then at the same time, me and my little brother, we went to the same school for the most of the part. And school was cool. Like I said, it was for the most part, me and my little brother, we would go to a lot of different schools, and my mom would usually just put us in, good schools that had good education, nice teachers, and just overall good atmosphere, and just meeting new people around the time. So it was cool. And like I said, by the time we went to high school, it was cool there, going to Boulder Creek and just interacting with people from there, and still cool friends with not a lot of people I went to high school with, but a good portion of them. And just going to college and, doing the same thing. So it was cool. Definitely was livid. Huh?
Do you keep in touch with a lot of people from high school? I've never asked you this.
I would say
probably count them on one hand.
At least I'd say maybe 2 to 5 people that I'm probably at least I know one of my really good friends that I still talk to this day. And there's a couple other people every now and then that just reach out to me and say, hey, how you doing? But for the most part, my closest friends, I'd say probably a handful of them.
That's so interesting because I have a similar experience. When we go to high school, I don't know about you, D. When we go to high school, when I did at least, I thought that the people I meet there were going to be lifelong friends. And it just turns out, at least in my experience, that's not the case at all. I have a few people on Facebook and social media, but people I talk to daily, weekly from high school, 1?
Yeah.
2 max.
It's just crazy because, like I said, I had the same thought pattern. The friends I get in high school, I'm going to know these people for 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line. And once I got to college, a lot of them just started breaking off. Obviously they were moving. I didn't get to interact with a lot of them anyway. And so by the time I graduated from college from UofA, I could literally count on my hand how many people I still talk to. And then through time, even the people that I talked to after college, some of them started slowly breaking off. And by the time till now, I can probably say a handful of them. But, at the end of the day, I wouldn't, just see them and just keep walking the other way. If we had a good terms between each other and we didn't have any, negative things to say about each other, I would still say, hey, what's up, yo, or how you doing? Things like that. But for the most part, I would say you have friends, your close friends, your close friends know your ins and outs, and friends you can say say what's up cordially, but like your best friends are like the people you can say, oh yeah, like if I'm going through some tough times, I don't mind reaching out to them. If I need someone to, talk to, they're there. So, because, like there's always like those close-knit friends like you and me. Like I said, I can know for a fact I can reach out to you, or I can, always trust on you. Like if anything's going bad on my end, or vice versa. So it's hard to find good friends nowadays, especially ones that, that stick around, not for the good, but they're here for the good and bad times. So definitely can say I don't have a lot more so college and in my adult life now for sure.
Yeah. No, that was beautiful. I didn't want to interrupt you before you made your point. Likewise, first of all, it's everything you said, and yeah, that's what's so interesting. I mentioned high school, but also college can be that way as well, because when so many years pass after you graduate, like you said, the people move, sometimes people change or grow, and it's just you really value those friendships that remain through the years, like you said, through the ups and the accomplishments and the Instagram posts, but also through the really tough periods when you're down bad. Like I think you and I have experienced both. Certainly, since we started college, the ups, the downs, the in betweens. Like you said, you really want to keep those people close because it's special to have those friendships nowadays. Speaking of special people, though, you mentioned your mom. She's actually the subject of my second question. I'm so glad you mentioned her. She's a teacher, like you said.
Yep.
Tell us more about her.
Okay. So I can remember years and years ago that my mom, she was getting her master's at ASU. I can't remember if it was, I think it was the West campus. Might have been the West. I think so. And she would take us there, me and my little brother. And while she was taking classes, yeah. When I was picking colleges where to go, she was telling me you should go to ASU, and I was like, all right. My dad was like, go to UofA. So
for our listeners, I'm holding up my mini.
Yeah, not me, not me.
I love both. D, I'm a Wildcat, but I'm a Sun Devil now too.
Yeah, just remember where you started, man. You started at UofA.
I forgot where I came from.
Yeah, man. Gotta remember the roots. Gotta remember the roots.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about UofA and some happy memories there soon. Okay, so your mom going to school, getting her master's, raising you and Ryan, just Superwoman vibes on 1,000.
Yeah, it was cool because, like I said, I literally remember going to the ASU campus and just hanging out on campus with me and my little brother, and then my mom would take classes and then come home, we eat dinner, my dad get home, we all just chill. And then by the time she graduated, I remember going to that graduation, and that was pretty surreal and pretty cool. I didn't understand all of it, but I just knew like, oh, my mom was getting like a certificate for something. And then by the time we got to middle school, we went to the same school. We went to Paseo Hills. Technically started at Park Meadows, and then we went to Paseo Hills. But more memories at Paseo Hills. So basically, my mom took me and my little brother there. And my mom, she started off as a special ed teacher. And she did that for a few years. And eventually she moved up to working more accelerated learning. And she just started just incorporating that, which she learned when she was back at ASU and just all throughout the years. And now what she's doing is she's doing more like she's part of this, not program, but part of this this organization down here in this chapter that they go to these different, not meetings, but more so, I guess you can say chapter meetings and all these different organizations to go over accelerated learning and just all other different topics. So she's been doing that for years. She was initiated into the chapter about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. And yeah, they're going to be traveling to California, Berkeley, this upcoming week for that. So that should be pretty cool. And I know my mom really loves it because this has been her passion for almost 20 years now. Oh, probably over 20 years now, at least over 20 or so. And I know she really enjoys it. And I know she's still, chomping at the bit to have those final years of saying, okay, I'm retired now. But she's been doing it for such a long time and has a lot of respect for not only her colleagues, but also just like a lot of her former students, because she would like have stories for me saying like, oh yeah, I remember we went to Goldwater High School for a meeting, and she saw one of her students that remembered her, and that's always cool. And also just teachers that taught me when I was like the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th grade that remember me, and go to my mom and say, hey, how's Darien doing? How's Ryan doing? So for the most part, yeah, I've always grown up in the education realm of school, and learned a lot from my mom. And just with this position as well, she's giving me some tips here and there, but for the most part, kind of gave me the same advice you gave me. Just, give yourself some grace, ask questions, and then just take it a day at a time. Because, I've worked with kids and I've done career paths that are similar to this. This is a lot different. This is more of like all day thing. And there's a curriculum that these kids have to follow. So now this is more honed in on, certain things. It's going to be a little different, but for the most part, like I said, I'm just going to take it one day at a time. And at the same time, just, learn. Because like I said, this could be something I can do for years on end, and it might not be exactly where I finish off with when I retire or whatever, but it could be something that I continue to grow as an individual, as a leader, and just overall someone, a role model in a way, just for younger kids and even adults, saying that, okay, like I may have wanted to be a trainer, but there's nothing wrong with pivoting and doing something that's still in the physical education department, but not exactly training people to be best athletes, but more so teaching the younger generation motor skills and overall just getting them prepped for when they do get to high school. So that should be pretty fun. Like I said, pretty much setting the tone for the kids when they get to that next level.
Yeah, and it's in your DNA, right?
Yeah.
Your mom, longtime educator, positively impacting the kids of Arizona, and now she's hitting the road. I didn't realize that. She's going to be in Cali soon. Shout out to her. I definitely have more questions for you about that pivot soon, D. I want to talk about your time at UofA. So you earned a track and field scholarship to the University of Arizona. Describe your experience as a collegiate student athlete. Was it a big transition from high school?
It was pretty tough. And I can remember there were days that I wanted to quit, because it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy from the rip. Like, I remember our first day of practice, we had to run around Reed Park. And if you're familiar with Tucson, it's a big old park. Or, I mean, if you're not familiar with Tucson, it's a big old park. It's by the zoo over there. And it's literally about 3 miles around. I remember doing that, and I was like, okay, this is challenging, but not too bad.
And you said now not walking, you said running around.
Oh no, yeah, we had to literally run around that thing. And I remember to this day, my coach literally on a bike saying, "Keep it up, guys." And I'm like, this dude on a bike telling us to hurry up, and I'm over here like dying. And by the
What time of year heading into the fall?
This was right in the start of the school year, so like, we got there at the end of August, so we pretty much started practice up like I think the first or second week of September. So immediately when you get to school and get your books and everything, all right, practice starts. And I remember just like having practices like that. And at one point we had our second day of practice was doing stadiums around the football stadium. And I was like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. I'm like, are we training for the long distance, or are we like becoming sprinters? So that was when I really realized what conditioning was. Like I said, like, oh yeah, like cardio here and there, blah, blah, blah. But real conditioning, like doing stadiums, running miles every day, just condition you for preseason training. Not preseason training, but this is pretty much conditioning you for preseason. Then you got preseason, then you got indoor, outdoor, and all that. So that was probably like the most eye-opening. And then also too, just at practices, I remember my first year, we were just doing strides in the grass and on the track, and I was getting beat by the girls. So I was like, oh, okay, this is no joke. Like, I remember in high school, I was a man. Now I got to literally humble myself and start from square one. Yeah,
the ladies don't play.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, this is for real. But at the same time, this is what I chose, because I always tell people this when it came to what colleges I wanted to go to, because I had some offers here and there, but I always told myself I wanted to be the small fish in a big pond. And that analogy, if a lot of people know, is basically I wanted to be the one that was chasing. Like, I didn't want to be the hunted, I wanted to chase. So I wanted to be the person that when I come into the university, that the majority of people there are better than me, but at the same time, it's going to make me a better athlete, because even though I might not be winning all my races, I might not be, doing what I did when I was in high school, it was only going to, teach me humility and just, continue to make me a better athlete. Because at the time I was dead centered on trying to go to the Olympics. I was like, all right, Olympics is the go. And I realized after my sophomore year, like, yeah, this is probably not going to be it. So I'm just going to do what I can here at UofA. But yeah, it was an amazing experience, just meeting a lot of people and a lot of cool people at the same time, and working with a lot of good coaches. So it was a blessing those 4 years. And I tell people all the time, if you have an opportunity to play collegiate sports, and even if it's not a big school, go, because that's, you save money, you meet new people, you get yourself out of your comfort zone, and at the end of the day, you become a mentally tougher person, because there's going to be days that you're going to go through that those turmoils and those hurdles. Like, shout out to me doing hurdles, but just those different things that are going to come into your life with practice, school, and then just life, and you're going to have to try to balance all three of those while still maintaining being the best athlete you can without slacking in your academics. So
Right.
it's definitely a blessing for sure.
What went into your decision to pick Arizona? Like, break it down for us. When you get recruited to go somewhere, I'm assuming you went on official visits, Arizona, ASU, elsewhere. What went into? Did you get a sense of community at Arizona? Because you had to travel down to Tucson, a city I don't think you were very familiar with.
Yeah. So for me, it was pretty tough choosing where I wanted to go. Like, I remember I was working at the Harkins movie theater. That was my summer job, and I was really thinking about where I wanted to go, and I narrowed down like 3 schools. So I was like, okay, I can go to UofA, ASU, or I can just go to a smaller school, Eastern New Mexico. They were really pushing on me, and there were some other schools in California like Occidental and other schools like that. And I was like, okay, I can go here, I can go there, like pros and cons on each one.
Bigger fish in a smaller
Yeah,
pond.
and that's
kind
what
of the opposite of what you mentioned before.
And just like I said, talking to my parents too, I'm like, hey, where do you guys want me to go? I literally was like, hey, mom, hey, dad, where y'all want me to go? And my mom was like, go to ASU. My dad was like, go to UofA. And my little brother was like, I don't care, go wherever. And so,
no, I thought Ryan may have had the deciding vote.
He knew
you were going to shine wherever, whether Tempe or
yeah. So he was like, go wherever you want. And so I think the reason why, like a couple of reasons why I chose UofA. Number one was because I wanted to get out of the Arizona or the Phoenix area, just because like I'm used to seeing a lot of people. Like, I had some friends that were going to ASU, and I kind of wanted to get out on my own, and that's why I was like, okay, I think Tucson way back, because I know we went to Tucson a couple of times. Like, I went there for a couple of basketball camps when I was playing basketball. I visited the campus. I met with the coach there, the head coach. And I met pretty cool professional athletes that were alumni from UofA, so that was a pretty cool experience. And also too, just the tradition at UofA. Like, at that time, I didn't do a lot of like studying and book work on like, oh yeah, who ran at UofA, who ran at ASU, all that. I kind of just was like, all right, where am I going to go? Like, whoever's going to be my teammates, that's going to be my competition. So I didn't really do a lot of research there. And then, like I said, at the same time, I kind of wanted to get out of my comfort zone, because I feel if I went to ASU, I would have been comfortable going there, being around people I'm familiar with, and no disrespect to my parents for seeing them every day. So I kind of wanted to, like I said, get out on my own and do something outside my comfort zone. So that's what
spread your wings.
Yeah, so that's what kind of just pushed me to UofA. And like I said, there was a couple people from my graduation class that went there. It was a very small number, and the ones that did go, I was familiar with, but we weren't like tight like that. We were pretty cool, but like I said, we weren't like best friends or nothing. So that was pretty much like the big decision why I chose UofA. And like I said, when I met the Coach Harvey there, he was a cool guy. Like I said, meet him, he was just telling me, yeah, I got some of your film. Meeting my mom was there. We met him and just kind of walked around the McHale Center and kind of just saw like the Hall of Champions. We saw the basketball arena, things like that, in the weight room. So he kind of gave us like a little tour, and that was cool, because like I said, at the time I was also reaching out to other schools. Like, I remember I reached out to Washington. I wanted to go to North Carolina. Like, for the most part, I told myself I'm gonna go out of state. And I even remember at one point I was even looking at Morehouse. Like, that was like really heavy on my my go-to school. Yeah,
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
I was considering Morehouse. I don't think I got any further than looking at the website and watching the videos. I never applied, but that was always a dream. I didn't realize you were considering going there.
Yeah, the only reason that I didn't want to go to Morehouse was I realized they didn't have track and field there. and I knew for a fact I wanted to run track in the collegiate level. Like they had like the big time sports like basketball, football, and other sports, but they didn't have track. So I was like, oh. And I remember that my advisor at the time, he was telling me, yeah, they don't have any track there, but they have a good facility, good campus, this and that. I think his name, I forgot what his name was, but he was a cool guy, but he was really helping me, like giving me all the information about Morehouse and telling me like the pros there and like this and that and like what's around it and what you can study and all that. So, yeah, that was also on my radar when I was looking.
So
at
you were
college.
really doing it right. You were looking at all of your options. Sounds like it
Yeah,
was an
I was
exhaustive
looking, man, and like I said,
process.
I wanted to go out of state. That was always my go-to. I was like, yeah, I got to get out of Arizona. But
You're
but
not alone though. A lot of us feel that way. Is I
mhm,
think growing up, coming up, we just have this desire, whether it's for college or jobs or both, we have this desire to leave the nest and leave Arizona at some point. Because I think often, I don't know about you, Darien, I think often it's like there has to be more than just Arizona out there,
mhm,
which is true. But as I've leaned into my adult years, I've really discovered the beauty in Arizona, and I've really taken pride in being from here because there are so many transplants now from Cali, from I was going to say Chicago. I know you have Chicago roots too. From
mhm,
Chicago, from LA. I mean, there's just people flock to AZ from Florida. But
mhm.
I now take a lot of pride in being one of the few that were actually raised here. But I didn't
Yeah,
feel that way coming up. I was like, oh yeah, I want to go to Atlanta or New York, or but
mhm.
something changed in me as I got older, where I thought, no, this is my home. I grew up here. I want to stay here.
Oh yeah. I was the same way because, like I said, I want to look at different states and like at the time I was really heavy in watching college football and college basketball, and I would just see the games and the atmosphere, and I was like, man, it would be pretty dope to go to this school and that school, and even coming up like U of A or not U of A, UNC, North Carolina was always my favorite school just because my folks being from Chicago and Michael Jordan and pretty much watching every single Michael Jordan clip that my dad would show me and him being a North Carolina alumni going there. So it was pretty cool. So at that time I was like really, really heavy on trying to go to the UNC. And I can't remember like what they said to me, but I remember that was like one of the schools like UNC or nothing. So my parents like, all right, let's expand though. Let's look at other schools.
So
So
you had these various stages. It was UNC, and then it was you looking at
mhm,
Morehouse, and then it was okay. Let's compare U of A versus ASU.
yep,
Wow,
yep,
wow.
yeah. By the
So
time I got to the more realization, like, all right, like what's my best options? Like I could go out of state, but at the same time, there's like a lot of moving variations that could make it an easier move. Those ones that can make it a harder move. Like I said, it would be cool in the long run, but right now, like maybe like okay, let's stick with something a little more local, and then like within this coast or even like on this side of the country, and then going from there. So that was probably like another like reason why I chose U of A. And at the same time, it wasn't too far from my family. Like I said, they were still couple hours away, and so if I wanted to come home for the holidays or come back down or they come visit me, it was an easy drive for them. Like if I went to like out of state or if I went somewhere like California or another side of the world or country, then who knows? But like I said, I don't regret it. I'm blessed that I went there. I'm happy. It's still cool seeing people that went to U of A. They say, "Oh, what year did you graduate?" This and that, and I would tell them stories like, "Oh yeah, when I was there, this football player was there," or they had this on campus, and just saying, "Oh yeah, my son or my daughter or my niece, nephew, whatever goes to U of A now." So that's always cool too. Like I
yeah.
said, being deep in Phoenix and still talking to people that are U of A alum and
Oh, there's
people
a huge
outside of
alumni base here. Huge.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we love that place. So I want to kind of rewind to what you said here
Mm-hmm.
regarding again being a student athlete at Arizona, but I want to think about the current context now of college athletics. What do you make of the ways in which the business of college sports has shifted, namely NIL? Do you kind of wish like, oh man, if this were around, if this would have been around 10 or 15 years ago, we could have had Darien Mckinley jerseys or shirts in the bookstore. Like it would have been lit, and I would have been getting some profits of that. What do you think of where we're at with college sports? Because it's much different than when you were a Wildcat, is it not?
Yeah, I remember at that time, like when college sports were really big, um, you couldn't have your last name on the back of the jerseys. Like track wasn't really that big at U of A at the time. It was up there, but like you obviously had like the tiers like football, basketball, like they were like the top tiers, and you had the other sports. And for the most part, like you would go into the bookstore or whatever and see their jerseys, but it wouldn't have their last name on them. And I just remember like this being a big story when I was at U of A. They were saying, "Oh, should we pay the athletes?" Like, and we would get stipends when we traveled, but for the most part, we wouldn't be getting, like actual like upfront money like that. Like back in the day, like when I had like athletes like Reggie Bush or athletes like that were getting, income like outside of
Escalades,
yeah,
other
like
benefits, right?
miscellaneous things. And now that they have that now, the NIL deals and all these different external ways for athletes to make money, I think it's keeping athletes in college more, just because for the mere fact they're like, okay, I have third round, maybe like if I'm putting myself in the college football players' shoes, and they're like, okay, my agents like, or my people tell me, hey, you might have third round potential, so you might, for the most part, not get as much money as if you were in college still. So you can still be the big man on campus. You can still get paid, and at the same time get your education. Because for the most part, a lot of the kids stay in college 3 years, and like for the most part after that, they're ready to go. And then in college basketball, it can be one and done. It could be seniors. It could be whatever. So I just think the NIL deals is what's keeping more of the athletes in college. And I know for the most part that was a big thing when it came to the NBA. It was a lot of players were on the younger side, and it's not bad, but for the most part, a lot of them weren't necessarily ready for the NBA, because in the NBA those are grown men out there playing, and then in college you're pretty much like 18 or 19 years old and considered the best player on the team at some points. But when you get to the NBA, you're going into maybe like a top pick, but you're on a bad team and you're going to be playing against players like LeBron, Steph Curry, or whoever like that. And for the most part, you're getting lit up every game. So I think this helps keeps kids in college more and develops their game, because like I know like looking at some of the players that are coming in now, you just hear them saying, yeah, they're not necessarily ready. Case in point, Bronny, but they're in the league now, so this is their best way to learn. Or they'll draft them but take them straight to the G League or some other affiliate. So I think this is a good way for a lot of the college athletes to stay in college and pretty much get what they're worth, because at the same time there's what's bringing in the revenue to their facility. And if you have like a great team and awesome athletes on your team and they're not getting reciprocated, and it's like, I'm putting all this work in and I'm not getting nothing out of it. Like, yeah, I might get the notoriety or the TV time, but I don't get none of that money. And for the most part, it's usually the coach that gets all the money, and then the university and the athletes just get blood, sweat, and tears. So I think this is a good way to, pull more athletes staying in college, but at the same time also like a recruitment strategy you can say, because they can say, oh, so-and-so on the team gets this NIL deal, or you can get this one potentially. So I think it's, like I said, a recruiting tactic, and at the same time, this can be a way to funnel in more experienced athletes into the professionals. And that can not just be in college and football, that can be soccer, that could be golf, that can be even track possibly. So I think this is a good way just to keep the kids in college and have them continuing to study what their major is, and know that even if they don't make it to the next level, they can fall back into what their major is and then grow from that or find something more than what they want to do.
That's a really healthy approach. I wonder, I think that I would probably be bitter. I'd be like, man, if I only like arrived 10 years later, if this was around 10 years earlier, we could have been out here on TV and commercials and people requesting that I send their kid a happy birthday message.
Oh man,
and that's not the Darien Mckinley that we know and love. You have a very healthy approach to this. Like you said, if it's beneficial for current student athletes, then that's what it's about. It shouldn't just be the universities and the coaches making bank off of, as you put it, blood, sweat, and tears of 18 to 22-year-olds.
Yep. They're pretty much putting in the work and they're not getting nothing from it. And like I said, like you can like say, oh, okay, like you get what you're worth. And they say, oh, well, you're always on TV, or you're a household name. But yeah, at the same time, like, what am I getting out of it? Because at the end of the day, you guys are using me to build profit for your school, and I'm not getting none of it. So it's only fair that, they have some type of, back end money from it, or some type of income from it. Because at the same time, a lot of these athletes, they come from like maybe broken homes or not the best situations. So this NLL money could not just be for them, but it could also be for their family to help them come up before they move into the professionals, or like kids not leaving too soon and say, okay, I'm gonna get a big check getting signed up as no one pick, but then I'm not ready, so I can be considered a bust. So it just preps the kids for knowing how to manage their money, helping their family come up, and then when they are ready to go to the big leagues, their somewhat skill set's a little bit better. They still obviously have to improve and adjust to the new type of style of play, but for the most part, they have a better chance of going in with their experience they did in college than just coming in and not really working on the fundamentals and just overall the things that they need to get better or become a better athlete.
Right. Well, sticking with college, you majored in journalism. Well, that's how we met, actually, right? It was journalism. It was journalism class with Professor Knight. Shout out to Professor Susan Knight.
Oh yeah, Professor Knight.
Professor Knight. I remember the classroom we were in. It was over by Park Student Union. Yep. I don't remember the name of that building, but it was a really nice classroom with lots of great windows and natural light. And do you remember this? It was like several levels.
Like you're going to Park Student Union.
Yeah. PSU.
It was like, yeah. What was the name of it?
I have no. I was gonna say Harville, but that's completely wrong. That's on the other side of campus.
You're gonna make me look it up now.
I should have Googled this.
I remember, like I said, I remember that building like it was right there in front of me.
It's not even gonna come to my mind. It's not one of those cases where it's like, okay, give me a few minutes, I'm gonna think of it. I've not thought about this place since 2012. I have no idea, but it was beautiful. But anyway, enough about me and my architectural thoughts. Back to you, D. You majored in journalism, as I mentioned, but you transitioned to the world of personal training after graduating from the university. How did that shift occur?
Basically, when I graduated, I kind of didn't feel like journalism was for me. Like I remember I would I would take a lot of sports journalism classes and speak to a lot of sports journalists in the industry. And like I said, for the most part, they would all tell me, well, for the most part, you're not going to do the sport that you want to do. Like you're going to do a sport most likely that you don't know much in. You're going to have to really do the research on it in order to, report on it well or be a proper journalism for it. So I just remember being like, okay. And after about a couple months after I graduated from college, I was like, yeah, I don't think this is going to be for me. And so I started off with okay, what do I know best, or what do I know? And so I pretty much started with the Boys and Girls Club, started working there, working with kids and being the coach there. So I was like, okay, I like helping kids. I like the physical education aspect of it. And so I remember to this day, I was sitting at home at my parents' place, because I was living with my parents at the time. I was watching TV and I saw a commercial on personal training. And I was like, that wouldn't be bad. I'm an athlete. I can work with athletes. I know how to train people. I know how to work out. Boom. I'm going to transition to that. So I got my certification. I worked at Planet Fitness for about a year, maybe two. And then I moved back to Tucson. I worked at two different gyms down there and just continued to grow and just teach myself as a trainer, because I know I say I don't live with regrets, but I wish I would have did a lot more of the book work when it came to the personal training aspect of it. Because like I said, I always tell people that even though I didn't necessarily go to school for, physical education or physiology or anything like that, I still had hands-on experience, like working with, elite strength and conditioning coaches. We were on a steady program throughout the year. And for the most part, we went through a lot of different exercises that dealt with, strength, conditioning, power, agility, anything that athlete would need. Yeah.
All those laps you did around Reed Park.
Yep.
Right.
That was how to run, not throw up.
You know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I know, because there's book smart and then there's being on the field smart.
Right.
So being in the work. And so I was like, okay, I know the work aspect of it, but when it came to terminologies and the reason for things is what I needed to really, hone in on. So that's what I did. I got my certification and got myself a lot more educated in just overall the physical training, the body, muscles, tendons, tissues, organs, things like that. So I just got myself more trained in that. And then I still continued to teach myself and train myself mentally, and at the same time learned while working with people, because that's the best teacher is is what's it called? What is being involved? What am I
Yeah,
thinking of?
working with people and learning that kind
Yeah,
of customer service
yeah.
element.
So just
And
being
I'm sure your the people you were working with, your trainees, there's a better word for it. Clients, I think.
yeah,
Clients.
just the
They have
experience.
different needs, right? Not one there's not one universal plan that's going to work for all of the clients you're working with. All of them are their own person with their own strengths and areas they wanted to improve. That's you were putting in work to make that happen for all of them,
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely had
like
to
students.
just get myself out of like seeing everyone as a collegiate athlete. I think that was one of my bigger hurdles I had to clear was thinking
Really,
like, hey, like this person, they haven't worked out in a couple of years. I'm gonna have them do, exercises I did in college. So I had to pretty much retune my mind to, be able to work with people that, are younger or a little bit older and just know what their physical limitations are. So I kind of had to teach myself and work with a lot of people to understand what I should do with, this client or what I should do with that client. And that's what I feel it made me a better trainer, is because I worked with so many different people and different age groups that you can, assign me a client and I'll say, okay, I know they want to get in better physical shape. Okay, where are they at? Maybe they're on the younger side or maybe they're on the older side. Obviously, you got to, set different standards for certain people. But it taught me to be a lot more realistic when training people, and at the same time being able to communicate with them better, because you don't want to have a trainer that's almost like a drill sergeant or some like that, because that just turns a lot of people off. So I had to be a lot more personable when it came to that. I had to be a lot more understanding and just being able to I say like read the room or read my client, see what's like how they feeling, ask how they're feeling, and be a lot more sympathetic. Because I could do this stuff and I'm like, oh yeah, like the exercises I'm doing I could do when I was 18 and you're like 46, things like that. Like, no, maybe they have bad knees or a bad back, so making those slight adjustments to help them get to where they want, even if it's not as fast as they may want, it's still upward trajectory to help them get where they need to. So like I said, still train to this day. I probably still will, like down the line. I just know right now with this next career shift, this might kind of put me on hold with that. But at the same time, I'm still going to continue to teach myself and just continuing to work with people if they need some advice or some help when it came to training.
and that's such a transferable skill in terms of deciphering what, in your case, a client or now a student needs, and then crafting that plan to help them reach their goal. That's so transferable from the your fitness place of business to now being in the classroom, and like you said, meeting the state standards and what your
Mhm.
administration wants to see. I love that for you. And I want to also mention that you coach track and field at Catalina Foothills High School in Tucson. So
Yep.
this is not going to be your first year at a campus working with young people.
Mhm.
How was that experience of actually getting your feet wet, getting boots on the ground at a school at Catfoot, a big public school in Tucson? I would imagine that your experience there was positive enough that you wanted to return, but this time not just as a coach, but you're going to gear up to be a PE teacher. So Catfoot, positive experience overall.
Yeah, it was cool because when I saw it, the opening pop up, I didn't even know about it. It was actually at my old gym. One of our clients actually said, "Hey, Darien, there's a position at Catalina Foothills for a head coach. I know you did track and field at UofA. I'm sure they would love for you to work there. And then just here's my information. Tell them that you know me and reach out to them and go from there." So
Connections
and
important.
she was, huh?
Connections important.
Yeah, yeah.
We
See, that's
learn
one thing.
in
Like
life.
being in this position, like you meet new people, and like
Right.
when you help them, they can say, "Okay, Darren helped me get here. I'm gonna help him get here." So that's how building relationships and building bridges from one point to the next. But working at Catalina Foothills as the head coach, it was fun. There was some learning experience here and there. Like I remember when I applied there, I started a little bit on the later side of it, because by the time I actually started working with the kids, state was right around the corner. So I only had probably about 3 or 4 weeks with the kids. So I would say that was like my half year, I guess you can say. And then my first official year, I think that was the year of COVID. I think so. It was 2019. Yeah, I think, yeah, COVID would happen. So we had to get our season shut down early. So I only had like, I guess I can say I coached there, but I had like at least one full season with the kids, and that was fun. Oh no, I'm sorry, 2 full seasons. Yeah, so I was there for a minute. Yeah, and my first official full season was there was fun because I already knew a lot of the kids there. Like when I first started there, a lot of the kids were already freshmen. So I pretty much worked with a lot of kids that were freshmen all the way up to by the time they got to seniors, they were there. So that was always fun. And the coaching staff that I had were really cool too. Like a lot of them had a lot of respect from the kids. So whatever the coaches said there, they listened. And me being a first-time head coach, the kids were like, "Oh, who's this guy? I know he went to UofA, this and that, but he doesn't know me like that." But with getting the respect from the kids and the coaches, that's what would really help the season, pursue on a positive note. And like I said, just seeing the kids' growth. Because a lot of times, like when you go into a sport, like even in high school, you have your growing pains. Like I remember just working with a couple of kids, and they were fast, but they weren't like elite fast. Like I couldn't take them to invitationals or expect them to make it to state. So just working with a lot of those kids, getting from where they were at level one, and then by the time I coached them for their last year, they're already at state, thinking about running in college. And a lot of those kids did end up going to college, which was really cool to see because I saw them from when they were freshmen, like little freshmen, not knowing what to expect and thinking it was like, oh, like this is all about having fun. Like, no, but at the same time, we want to win meets. That's why I'm here, because I want to have fun, but at the same time, we got to win and have fun. So I just brought along a lot of the techniques that I learned when I was at UofA. A lot of the coaching strategies I learned when working with kids and just working with adults as well. And at the same time, getting advice from the other coaches that were there, like strategies that they use, because some of them were either already former head coaches or they've been coaching for almost like 5-10 years. So they already had a lot
from the vets.
Yeah, and they also did a little bit collegiate sports as well in track and field. So we were all cut from the same cloth when it came to hard work, dedication, and commitment when it came to collegiate sports, and knew what it take to get to that next level. So that was always cool as well. But it was a cool experience, like I said. And the athletic director there, Ryan, he was also instrumental with me throughout the years. He was also very just positive with me. Like said, yeah, don't worry about it, Darien. Like the hardest thing with this is going to be just with the parents. Like there's nothing wrong with the parents. It was just like, yeah, like for the most part, you're going to have parents that are going to say, hey, why isn't my kid running at this meet? Why is my kid not doing that? So he's just like, yeah, just,
any sport you coach. Yes.
Yeah. Like this is your job now. Like you got to be able to coach these kids, keep all the coaches on par with everything. And at the same time, keep the parents involved, but at the same time, keep them at bay. Because at the end of the day, you're the coach. They aren't. So sometimes some coaches or some parents might try to overstep their boundaries. So you just got to be able to.
You get that friend request. You get that Facebook friend request in your inbox.
Yeah, like hey,
accept that. You seem like a cool dude, but at bay, like you said.
Yeah. Because like I said, there was some cool parents. There's some parents like they would come on and watch practice and say, hey, I love your coaching stuff. You're doing great here. My son or daughter loves you.
Okay.
And every time we had our banquets, like we had our last banquet, a lot of coaches and parents thanked me. It's like, yeah, I never saw my kid getting to this level, and they ran at state and they loved it, or they were really shy. They didn't know what track was. And then you got them more comfortable running track, and now they're going to do it years and years to go. So it's always cool hearing stories like that, because you never know. You don't know what, the kids are really thinking or what the parents are thinking. So the kids are when they go back home, they tell you like, oh, coach was mean today. Coach was cool today. And I learned this and that. So it was cool to get a lot of positive affirmation from a lot of the parents that thanked me for, a good season that we had my last year there.
That's beautiful. I'm sure more positive vibes and affirmations from parents to come for you, because you are preparing for your first year as a PE teacher. Man, I want to hear about this transition now to education. Again, you were recently hired. Congratulations. Can you give us insight into why you pivoted from personal training, the job interview process that you just went through this year, and how you landed at your school?
So for the longest time, even when I was training down at Tucson, my mom and was like, yeah, why don't you get into physical education, a PE teacher? I was like, a PE teacher? That's I don't know about that, Mom. That seems kind of lame. That's what I was think in the back of my head, I would say, oh yeah, I'd consider it, I'll think about it. So my mom was always giving me the blueprint to say, like, yeah, at least look into it or think about it. I never considered it. And just recently, like I said, where I'm at now, it's been cool. Just working in the physical therapy side of it, just working on more corrective exercises and working with people that have injuries. Like, you can work with people that are healthy and train them, but if you don't know how to get them back to where they were prior to injury, then you're not gonna know how to work with them. So I learned a lot doing that here. But I just felt like, for one, I just needed a lot more money. Even though, you know, the teaching career is not the best countrywide, it was something that I had to pivot in towards. And at the same time, I had to go back to my roots. Like I said, helping people and helping kids. And like I said, before I was training people, I was at the Boys and Girls Club. So essentially, I circled back around to working with kids again, because that's where I started. Before I was working at Planet Fitness, I was working at the Boys and Girls Club, working with kids for about 3 years, and I was considered a coach there, and it was a great time. Like I said, I learned a lot. I was able to work with kids, you know, from kindergarten up to the 8th grade, and for the most part, like I said, I was like, man, I'm not trying to work with no bad little kids, and, you know, having the patience to work with kids that, you know, are not necessarily bad, but more so they're trying to find their way. They're trying to fit in. And I learned that when I was working at where I'm at now. This woman came in. She was a PE teacher, and I asked her, because she did it for 20 plus years. And I told her how she do it, and she was telling me, basically, Darren, like, you gotta know that no kid is a bad kid. They just come from different situations in their life you might not know. Like, maybe like this is them, you know, reaching out to you, trying to be seen, or they're just, you know, they're just trying to fit in. And if for them to act out and get noticed by other kids, maybe that's their strategy. But you can't like put them in a bad kid realm, because if you put that in their realm, then they're gonna always come in and say, okay, I'm that bad kid now, so I'm gonna always act out. You gotta, you know, come in with some grace and just, you know, just listen to the kids, and at the same time, just, you know, be patient with them. Because at the end of the day, like I said, if you can just build that trust with the kids, you know, at that age level, and being the PE teacher, because at the end of the day, PE teachers are seen as the fun teachers. You know, this is where you get out of the classroom and you can exert all that energy that you've had built up, and you want to play basketball, run around, do all the fun stuff. And you only get an X amount of time to do that until you go to recess. So it's just crazy to really think that I started at one thing, kind of did like a pit stop, which I enjoyed because I did it for 10 plus years, and it circled back around to working with kids again. So
isn't life funny that way?
Yeah, it's crazy, because I'm like, man, I'll never think I'll do this again. Like, maybe just working with a strength conditioning coach and working with collegiate athletes, that's one thing. But starting with kids that are, you know, little, and then before they get to high school. So it's just surreal and crazy to think about that. But
and I know you mentioned the off-air. In terms of the job interview process, that was kind of a hurdle. Going back to, I guess, one of the key words today, hurdles. That was a hurdle you had to overcome, was when you were interviewing for PE openings, you may not have the experience that other people do in terms of a formal education PE setting, but you have this experience working with youth, working with clients, and helping them meet their goals. And it sounds like that was challenging during your interviews, but you also landed a position, and someone ended up seeing your worth, that, okay, he doesn't have the experience yet per se, but he has all of these skills that, again, are really transferable to being a PE teacher.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Before I got this job where I'm at now, I can't tell you how many times I was told no because my experience, like, it was always the word like, oh, he has potential, or he has this and that. Like, he has the perfect background, but he just doesn't have the experience. And that was always the thing that hindered me from going to that next step within the interview process. And like I said, before I applied at this school, I think I applied to probably like 5 to 10 other schools. And then even the year prior, I applied to a couple, and same thing, like, oh, some experience. Like I said, what you do now is cool and all, but like I said, this is more of a structured curriculum. And like I said, Boys and Girls Club, like, you can structure some certain things, but for the most part, it's an after school program, or even like a summer program. But when you're in PE and in a school or charter school like I'm going to be at, you got to have the kids hit those certain standards throughout the year and follow those. So that way you can show, your administrator and your fellow PE teachers around the city and state that, okay, we're following this curriculum. We have these kids working on, their motor skill with their fundamentals when it comes to sports, and then just overall there's social aspects as well. So, and it's understandable because, like I said, you don't want to bring someone into a career or even like a job that you don't have a lot of experience in, and at the same time trusting kids around you because, like kids, like I said, for the most part, parents, want their kids in the most safest environment possible, and they can't trust the faculty there if their staff doesn't know what they're doing or they're putting their kids in harmful situations. So it's understandable, but now that, I can say I have my experience, like I said, doing this, like if I decide to venture off and do something more and like a higher level of education, like a high school
athletic director one day,
then I can say like, okay, like what can you really say? Like he has the experience, he's done this for X amount of years. Like, okay, now it's just about, does he fit our program? And so, like, I'd rather like, oh, you just don't fit our program than saying, oh, you don't have the experience. I can say, okay, that makes sense. So,
right, and that's hey, we love you, Darien, as a person. Now you just need to get this thing, this experience, and once you get that, you're all set. So I think you being and you're at Peoria, right? Remind us the name of your school.
Yeah, it's Explore Academy in Peoria. So this school started in New Mexico, and they brought it down here. So this will be the first Explore Academy in Phoenix. So that's also pretty cool too, like being a part of something that's brand new, like a founder, I guess you can say, and just bringing in that new generation and that new class of kids at this school. And then when they look back and say, oh, who was the teachers there at the 23-24 school year or 24-25 school year? And PE teacher, there's me. So I guess you can say that's a legacy or that's history.
Yes,
so that's going to be pretty cool as well. And like I said, just even though I'm not coming in, I know about working with kids, it's still going to be an exciting transition.
Definitely. For sure. And legacy, you're continuing your mom's legacy. Like this was written, Darien. When you told me that you were hired and you were going into the classroom, I felt so much joy then. I still feel so much joy. I can't wait to see what you do this year. Of course, we are rooting for you and wishing you all the best. That being said, it is now time for my final question for you. This is what we call our exit ticket. Are you ready?
Let's get it.
So I met you around 2011, 2012, but I think our friendship was really solidified by 2013. So I went into the archives, D, to refresh myself on that year in music. I'm going to list some songs that made the charts 11 years ago. I want to know very simply, you have one of two options. You can add this song to your current playlist, or you can delete it, leaving it in 2013 forever and ever.
Okay.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into it. Here are the songs. Drake, Started from the Bottom. Are you adding or deleting?
I would say I'd keep that song. Like, I'm not a huge Drake fan, but that's one of his songs I feel that have like big staples in his career. Because, like I said, at the end of the day, it's like sometimes the title to the song could be all you need. Like, what's the title? Start from the bottom. All right, bet. And then like you hear the lyrics, like, okay, you can kind of relate to it. Like, obviously you can't relate to everything like Drake did, but for the most part, things in dimensions, verses and lyrics, like, okay, bet. Like, I started from, X here, and now I'm going up to this next level. So I'd say keep that song. I'd say keep it.
What I heard from your answer is that listeners are going to flood your inbox with Not Like Us. I think they're just going to send you a lot of Kendrick, D. So I want you to be ready for that, because I did not expect that answer, but I appreciate you and your take. This
is early Drake. So
this was nothing was the same.
This was rap time period. He's more like pop now, and nothing wrong with that. But he's kind of switched his genres throughout the years, and pretty much to what his fans want to listen to.
Yep.
So and for the most part, Kendrick, he stayed the same. He stayed in his lane every year. Nothing wrong with staying where you're good at it and keeping that. And then other artists, they kind of like pivot and do something a little bit different to, build up what their fan base is, and at the same time, try to keep, and for the most part, you can't keep both. You're going to lose one and then build more one up. So
yeah, we discussed pivoting a lot today. I got a few final ones for you. Macklemore, Thrift Shop.
I mean, it was a good little
big.
pop when it came
song.
out.
I like thrifting.
I like the beat to it. I'd say keep it, because like Macklemore, like he doesn't. I don't know if he makes music anymore or even like relevant music, but I remember like at that time he was that dude. Like a lot of artists like did collaborations with him, and like I remember like a couple other songs that he did. But for the most part, Thrift Shop wasn't bad. So, man, I won't say keep for now, but can I keep one and then take one off down the line?
You can.
Okay, bet. So I'll keep it. I'll keep it.
Final two. Rihanna, Stay. One of her slower songs. Some piano action. I want you to stay. Depends on the mood. What do you think? Add, keep, delete?
I'd say delete. I mean, I've never been a huge Rihanna fan. Like, I like Rihanna, but never like when she performed at the Super Bowl, I was like, all right, that's cool. But I never was like a huge Rihanna fan. So I guess I would say
your inbox is about to be flooded with Rihanna stands as well.
Like, people are like, man, this
ready for that?
Crazy. This dude gonna keep Drake, but take out Rihanna.
Your inbox is about to be flooded. All right, last one, D. I want to get you out of here. Final option. J. Cole, Crooked Smile.
Oh yeah, you gotta keep Crooked Smile. Yeah, J. Cole. And if you ask me between the three, between Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick Lamar, I would say J. Cole is probably number one in my opinion, because like I said, like, and the thing with him is he doesn't have to make records after records, which isn't bad. Like you said, at the same time, like there's a lot of artists that make albums after albums, but he can make one album and that album be good for a solid 2-3 years. And then he's like, all right, I got to re-up because, you know, this album money is running out. I got to make something else. And like even Kendrick does that. He like you see it, like he'll take off like little hiatuses. And then like I guarantee you, Not Like Us will last probably like another 2 more years. And then after that, he'll be like, all right, I got to bring something back into the fold. And then Drake, he just comes after like different genres, so which is fine. But for me, out of those top 3, I would definitely say keep Crooked Smile, J. Cole.
Wow. Okay.
Definitely keep that one.
And shout out to TLC on that track as well.
Mm-hmm.
Darien, this has been such a pleasure and an honor. What are the best ways to connect with you?
So a couple different ways you can. So you got my Instagram up here. You have my, trying to see what else. I know I have this thing called the dot card. Oh yeah, it's Coach D McKinley. My bad. I don't know why. So Coach_D McKinley. That's my Instagram. So if you want to follow that and just reach out, give me your opinion on, like, if you felt I had the best opinions on music, you can tell me, say, yeah, your music is trash, or good choices, my man. And like maybe if you have like just some ideas or some thoughts of, you know, wanting to get an online trainer, or just some ideas or some advice from certain working out tools, you can reach out to me with that. I have Facebook, but I barely go on that now. So you can just search Darien McKinley on there. So yeah, I would say Instagram probably the best one. And yeah, if you have any ideas or any questions, you can just reach out to me, Coach_D McKinley. So
you heard it here first. At Coach_D McKinley.
Yeah.
Darien, this has been, like I said, fantastic. Thank you for coming on and sharing your story. You can follow us at 4AZTeach. We thank you so much for tuning in.
Follow them, y'all. Follow them.
And we'll see you next time.